So in a stunning development, CNN is now forced to admit that not only was the president right, but he's had one of the best months of his presidency. Also, huge update when it comes to the one big beautiful bill that involved the vice president. We're going to show you what both sides are saying and then give you the bottom line.
But now the markets have rebounded and grown. The S&P 500, NASDAQ hit record highs just yesterday. And it's not just the stock market. Inflation, the great economic fear of recent times, seems to be tamed. The rate is now reported at 2.4%, down from a high of 7% just 4 years ago. Meanwhile, blue-collar workers have seen real wage growth of 1.7% in Trump's first 5 months. This is the largest such increase in nearly 3 generations. Notwithstanding its impact on our national debt, there's also hope among some that Trump's big, beautiful bill will give further financial relief to blue-collar workers, as well as create incentives to build more factories in the U.S. Some already see this happening. For instance, General Electric has just announced that it'll invest almost $500 million in moving production of washing machines from China to Kentucky. And then there's the border. Crossings have slowed to a trickle. According to CBP's May update, Southwest border encounters have fallen to about 282 a day, a drop of 93% from last year and the lowest since the early 1960s.
And in fact, he's had so much success that now economists are saying that he outsmarted them when it came to tariffs. So in short, what does that mean? Trump was right again. And we're going to look at ground news to show you how the media is reacting to this news, because it is a big deal, and how you should feel about it all. So if you guys want to follow along, just go to ground.news/Devori. So as I told you guys, top economists admitted that Trump may have outsmarted everyone on tariffs. But here's what you need to know. Only one side of the political spectrum is talking about this, and guess who that is? That is the right, which is why, according to Ground News, 81% of the coverage on this story is from sources that lean right and only 19% lean left. So what does that mean for you? It means that if you don't do your research, you don't see what they're talking about or refusing to talk about, you're not going to have the full picture to make up your own mind and come to your own conclusion. Now, before we go any further, let's hear more from Smerconish as he continues to rattle off accomplishments from President Trump. Take a listen.
Michael is right. Since Donald Trump has become president, this second term, America and Americans are safer and they're more prosperous. As Michael points out, the border's been secured. Real wages are going up. Inflation is down. Michael, you didn't talk about the U.S. Steel deal in Pittsburgh, where Nippon and U.S. Steel came to an agreement where U.S. manufacturing, U.S. steel industry is going to have a huge shot in the arm from Nippon. The headquarters is going to remain in Pittsburgh, and U.S. steel manufacturers have become more robust. There are so many. You didn't talk about the conflict between Pakistan and India, which Trump helped to wind down and mediate, to the extent that the Pakistanis nominated him for a Nobel Peace Prize. I mean, it goes on and on and on. And the successes so far this president has achieved are incredibly consequential, perhaps the most consequential since FDR, a president. I know Biden talked about how he was doing all these great things. I think they pale in comparison to what Trump has accomplished in the first 5 months. And I think history recorded such. Even if you don't like the guy, you got to give him his props, like you said, Michael.
Which is why we use Ground News, because we want to see the full picture. You should want to see the full picture. I get things wrong on this show all the time. I'm sure you guys never forget to remind me, and I don't mind it, by the way, because that means that you're thinking for yourself, okay? Now, if you want to get better at it, use a tool like Ground News to help you see what both sides are saying, or in this situation, what only one side is saying. So if you want to use this tool for yourself, all you have to do is go to ground.news/Devori, or you could download the mobile app. Just use promo code Devori, and it's going to give you access to everything that I showed you in this video, including 40% off the Vantage plan.
Scott offered one explanation for the highs in the stock market. There are other explanations. Here's one from Jason Furman, an economist. The macroeconomy is doing decently. He said, especially when it comes to tariffs, the market is now more confident that Trump will back off if necessary. He added, in April, I think the fear was that he would just plow ahead no matter what. Now there is a sense that there are realities that he won't try to blow past.
Exactly.
It's hard to argue, Scott, that that's not accurate when just this week, today, they're saying oh, that 90-day deadline, we're just going to push it back out another 90 days. So the market's basically saying, oh, okay, they're just going to push it back.
Well, whatever it takes to say Donald Trump is wrong, I guess that's what people will do.
Well, no,
even today.
But genuinely, maybe you could argue that this is a negotiating tactic that is working fine. But the truth is, Trump is in fact backing down, and the markets have calmed because of that.
Yeah, he's doing what he thinks he needs to do with individual situations, and look also what's happening with individual companies. We had reshoring announcements this week. General Electric in my home state of Kentucky decided to reshore a bunch of jobs. The CEO of General Electric said the current policy environment is why we're doing it. So they're bringing a whole bunch of jobs from overseas back to the United States. You have announcement after announcement after announcement on top of these great gains in the market. Look, maybe sometimes the answer is, hey, maybe it's working. Maybe it's working.
As I stated earlier, it's clear that Abby Phillip does not see things in the same way that Michael Schmerkanish, who's on the same network, sees it. And that's just unfortunate, which led to what President Trump had to say about her last night. Where does CNN get its talent? Just watch someone named Abby Phillip lecture her audience on tariffs and the economy, which is doing record business. She has absolutely no idea what she is talking about, strictly third rate. Fortunately, the audience has long ago left CNN, and it will only get worse. Losers all. So let's make sure you guys understand exactly what the story is and why it's important that you recognize it. Number one, President Trump clearly has had the best month so far of his presidency, but not in his own self-interest, in America's best interest. And while he's made these decisions that most people don't even understand to begin with, which has led to heavy criticism from even people who voted for him, but in the end, he was proven to be right. That takes a certain type of leader. Democrats the entire time have been continuing to make the same mistake over and over and over again. And that is what, ladies and gentlemen? They offer no solutions, no alternatives. They have not proposed any clear plan on what they want to do differently in this country. It's all political theater on their behalf. And to double down on my point, listen to this newest update as it pertains to the one big beautiful bill where President Trump is standing by in case the Senate is able to get this bill passed in their chamber and sent over to the House. Take a listen.
Hey, Jason. The president decided to stay in D.C. this weekend to keep putting pressure on some of the GOP holdouts, and he has been speaking with Republican lawmakers. The president was in Virginia today golfing with Senators Lindsey Graham, Eric Schmidt, Rand Paul, and CIA Director John Ratcliffe. We should know that Graham and Schmidt are not some of the GOP holdouts. Paul, though, has said he is voting no on the bill unless Republicans remove the debt ceiling hike in the bill. Senator Tom Tillis also has a new statement out sharing why he's rejecting the bill. For now, he's taking issue with the Medicaid provisions. He says this will force the state to make painful decisions like eliminating Medicaid coverage for hundreds of thousands in the expansion population and even reducing critical services for those in the traditional Medicaid population. Elon Musk is weighing in as well, saying the latest Senate draft bill will destroy millions of jobs in America and cause immense strategic harm to our country.
Yeah, so given this information, this update, what do you need to know at this point? The Senate currently is voting. It is a tie, and the vice president has to show up to break the tie so that they can move this bill forward to the debate phase, okay? So they'll start debating on this bill. They'll probably go on for 10 hours. And by the way, Chuck Schumer wants every single word of this bill read out loud. Now, some people disagree with this and say that he's playing procedural tricks. I would argue this is exactly what should be required from Congress. Whenever they're going to pass a piece of legislation, they should read the entire bill for the record so people know exactly what they are voting on. The problem with Congress today is you keep hearing it for yourself is what? Hey, I haven't read the bill. I don't know what's in the bill. How do you not know what's in the bill when it's your main responsibility to pass laws in this country? I just don't get it. Now, here is another update from Lindsey Graham and other Republicans on what they think about this bill. Take a listen.
What do you think voters say when they look at the process here that's being employed to push this through and it'll be voted on and people haven't even got a chance to review it?
I don't remember the voters saying anything about Obamacare. I mean,
you guys did.
Well, the process of reconciliation is a one-party exercise. We've spent hours and days and weeks and months talking about this among ourselves. We shared it with our constituents.
I've never discussed things so many times as we've discussed the exact same thing. The final text is not out. but we know where we are going directionally.
Well, it's clear to me that the voters did say a lot about Obamacare. So that's a disconnect from Lindsey Graham. And quite frankly, we're at a time now where voters are super aware. Okay, they may not understand everything about the process, but they're not also naive either. And that's why we're heavily critical of Congress. Okay, I support President Trump's agenda. I just don't trust people in Congress to get it done. That's the difference here. And that clip right there shows you why I don't trust them. They don't even read the bill. The bill is not even published publicly for people to review it. And now you need the vice president to come in and actually be the tie-breaking vote to move this bill forward. Yeah, there's issues in Congress, no question. Now, I would say that level of criticism is definitely directed at the GOP. But let's not forget about Democrats, okay? Because they are pathetic as usual. Here's one of them wanting the vice president to get a flat tire on his way to casting the tie-breaking vote. Take a listen.
Tom Tillis and Senator Ron Johnson all are voting no on this procedural vote. Are you hearing anything about the vice president coming to the Hill?
Well, that's what I'm hearing, and I'm kind of hoping he gets a flat tire. But that's what we're hearing. It looks like he'll be the tiebreaker.
A few moments later.
Are you still confident the bill will pass?
Well, according to that clip of J.D. Vance, the vice president, arriving on Capitol Hill safe and sound, it seems to me that Democrat needs to eat his words. Now, the expectation with the vice president, he'll cast his tie-breaking vote, and that will advance the bill forward for people to start debating on it. And then that is what leads it to the official vote sooner or later. Now, let's go to our next story because this is more reaction coming from the Supreme Court ruling. And the reason why I want to show it to you, because now we have Democrats even acknowledging that the Supreme Court got it right, and none other than a reporter from the New York Times. Take a listen.
Nonetheless, I hate to say it, I think the court decided rightly on the national injunctions. I remember back in the Biden administration, there was a judge in Amarillo, Texas, who decided to ban an abortion pill. And I thought it was just crazy that a single judge can set national policy on a fraud issue that should be settled by democracy. And Democrats were rightly outraged. Now, I am all in favor of judges stopping what the Trump administration is doing, but you got to be consistent for both parties. And I think if people want to challenge what the Trump administration is doing, or any administration, they can file class action lawsuits. But we should not have this shopping where liberals go to a Northern California liberal judge, conservatives go to an Amarillo, Texas judge, and they can set national policy through one person. That just doesn't seem to make sense.
Yeah, and the reason why I show that clip is because I want to give credit where credit is due. I want to show you guys both sides. I want you guys to see how sometimes there are people who do not support Trump that are willing to tell the truth. But most of the time, that is not the case. In fact, most of the time, they sound like this.
Walk me through why you see this ruling as deeply dangerous, not for people who are birthright citizens, but much more broadly for every American.
Imagine Donald Trump wants to do something illegal to you, Ali Velshi. Imagine that he wants to murder you. Imagine that he and Stephen Miller release an entire policy explaining about how they can murder Canadian journalists who are working in America because they're taking the jobs from real American journalists, right? So he's going to murder you. So you, Ali Velshi, you go to court. You go to court in the Southern District of New York and you say, like, I don't think this murder thing is constitutional. It's clearly illegal. It's clearly constitutional. Donald Trump and Pam Bondi and Stephen Miller shouldn't be able to have a plan to murder me. And the court says, you're right, Ali Velshi. There's no way Donald Trump is allowed to murder you. We're going to have an injunction. We're going to stay the executive order saying that he's going to murder Canadian journalists. And so you're like, great, awesome. And you go home. And then Pat Kiernan shows up and he's like, what about me? I'm also a Canadian. Mm-hmm. Ashley Banfield shows up. I'm also a Canadian. What about me? And the court's, well, I can't help you because Ali Velshi is the one who's sued.
It's just unfortunate someone with his level of education didn't take the advice of David Brooks from the New York Times. Clearly, the solution is class action lawsuits. But more importantly, which is why I wanted to bring up this entire story, the solution is in Congress. If they don't want district court judges issuing nationwide injunction, which branch has the authority to do something about it explicitly? It's Congress. And unfortunate, they haven't done anything about it. So what I find interesting from people like him and Democrats who continue to cry about President Trump and his agenda, why are you not pressuring your congressional leaders to at least put a bill on the floor to have a vote? Even if it fails, at least you could say, we offered a plan. They haven't done it.
Dan, critics are saying this unleashes an imperial executive branch, particularly with Donald Trump in the presidency. What do you think?
I think there is a good answer to that, which is pretty much what Alicia was just suggesting, and the court is indeed, which is that the responsibility for clarity lies on the Congress of the United States, that they cannot overstep the authority of the Congress. The conservative majority, especially Justice Gorsuch, have made this point repeatedly in past cases. If there is unclarity, if there are disagreements, it is up to the people's elected representatives in Congress to make clear what they want and what they don't want, rather than simply allowing private plaintiffs to run to a federal court to get a decision that affects the entire country.
And then that affects the, essentially overrules what the executive branch has decided.
So at this point, I think it's abundantly clear that nationwide injunctions from lower district court judges does not work, okay? But what does work? Well, this is why I hope that this topic has been educational for you, because what works comes down to Congress. One solution we've heard is where Congress creates 3 judges to sit on a panel where they rule on nationwide injunctions. Yes, there would be a legal process for it to even get to that point, and yes, there would be an appeal process after the ruling. The fact of the matter is Congress could do something if they truly wanted to. So the question is, especially for the GOP, why haven't they done anything? Why haven't they at least appeared to show that they wanted to do something? That's the other thing that I find to be interesting. It's not like they're super busy. I mean, yes, they're occupied with the one big beautiful bill, but let's get real. They've had more than enough time to address this issue, and they haven't done it. And now I want you guys to address what we discussed in this video. Let's start with the obvious. President Trump did have a successful month. I'm sure you'd agree with that. Why don't you explain to people who are watching in the comment section why he's been so successful? What do you think is the key to his success? I'd love to hear what your guys' thoughts are about that. But more importantly, what is your reaction to Congress and how incompetent the GOP really is? I mean, in regards to these nationwide injunctions, it took the Supreme Court to do something about it, even though it should have been Congress the entire time. And the one big beautiful bill, don't hold your breath. We're still waiting to see exactly what takes place over this weekend. So give me your thoughts and what you think about all this in the comment section below. Now, there is a person who hasn't had a great month, and that is Governor Gavin Newsom. He's becoming so obsessed to the point he's now suing Fox News for defamation. If you miss out on that story and others from yesterday, all you have to do is click on that video because it's coming up right now.